Made me do like the go to computer, go to record on this computer, record cloud or whatever. So
You ever had the urge to stick a starfish up your ass?
that's a great way to intro the video. Welcome back, everybody, to another.
Like a starfish, like
Dude, we're already behind. Welcome back to another episode of the Back Pocket Podcast. I am Serge Cadali, and today we are going to be doing our Week 11 NFL predictions. Last week, a very interesting one. The gap on like the leaderboards, we'll pull it up now, have been closed. I think there's now a 3-game gap between first place and last place. I know.
oh, I'm lovely. I'm excited to take the lead this week. I've been closely treading behind Kean. I think I had a better week than him last weekend. I'm ready to make my push for the title.
Excited for another week of football, despite supporting a terrible football team.
Yep, amen, brother. But let's get into our first game. We have the Washington Commanders going to Philadelphia to play the Eagles. Pretty good Thursday night game. We've been getting a good couple of games the last few weeks. So, Dylan, I'm going to go to you first. What do you think about this one?
I think Philadelphia is going to go out and win this game. Washington have looked impressive to the start of the season to now, but I just don't see the advancement from where they were to playing against a team like Philadelphia, who's one of the hottest teams in the league. Jalen Hurts is back in his 2022 form. I think this is almost unwinnable for Washington. I go Philly with a pretty wide margin. Saquon Barkley, AJ Brown on the offense, just playing some unbelievable football right now. And you look at the defensive side of the ball, it's just a vast improvement from last year. That rookie secondary is really putting up really good games. Give me Philly.
I would not go as far as to say that this game is unwinnable for the Commanders, but I agree that this game is a Philly win pretty comfortably. I wouldn't be absolutely stunned if Washington went out and won this game because they've surprised us all this season. They have 7 wins in 10 games. But I do think that I agree with you for sure that there's been a little bit of a regression almost from Washington, or at least a lack of progression, because when you're looking to go win a Super Bowl, you've got to get better and better as the year goes. And it's one of the things when we talk about the Chiefs later, I'll talk about a little bit more, but it almost scares me when you're doing too well at the start of the season and then you
Mhm.
just drop off a little bit. And I think Jaden Daniels started off the first 5 of 10 games being unbelievable and like best quarterback we've seen first 5 games from in a long time. And now the last 5 games, not that he's been poor or below average by any means, but he's been worse than he was in the first 5 games. And that's still a very good quarterback because they still are a 7-3 football team. But I think there's been a little bit of regression from this team, and there have been a few injuries which have not helped. But I'm gonna see Philly in this one comfortably.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. I think Washington still have one of the best offenses in the league, but also it was an unsustainable pace, and they've kind of like I wouldn't say regressed a little bit, but not that big of a deal. And I think one thing that has gotten better as the season has gone on has been their defense. I think their defense has looked a lot better recently. Obviously, against the Steelers, they did allow 28 points, and Russell Wilson had a great game. But I still like that defense overall. But I think the Eagles right now are one of the hottest teams in the NFL. You talked about that rookie secondary. Quinyon Mitchell maybe will win Defensive Rookie of the Year. Cooper DeJean, although he started later, also a contender for that. He's been one of the best cornerbacks, period, in the league since he arrived. And that's really led kind of one of the best defenses in the NFL in the past few weeks. So I'm going to go Philly as well here. I trust this. I trust the offense. I trust the defense. I don't know how much I trust Nick Sirianni right now, but I think overall it's a good enough team to overcome Washington. But moving on now to our next game, we have the Las Vegas Raiders going to Miami after a key win against the Los Angeles Rams, which does it put them back in the playoff race? Dylan, I'm going to go to you first.
Well, as far as the playoff race goes, we're just going to have to wait and see the quality of the AFC. That rhymed. But I like where Miami is heading now with a healthy offense and Anthony Weaver as the head of this defensive group that hadn't looked as good in the last 2 games before this last game against LA, but that was a really stellar red zone performance and seriously just a great performance overall. They limited Matt Stafford pretty much everywhere. Kyron Williams had one of his worst games of the season. It was a great showing. And when you can win your games when your star players don't play well, Tua didn't have a good game. Tyreek Hill was invisible. Jalen Waddle was invisible past the first quarter. It was a really promising win because they went out and they won this game without the star power. So you go into Vegas, I think they win this game pretty comfortably and get some momentum going into a really tough pack of games at the end of the year. I think anything's possible with this group. That's how much I believe in the coaching staff and I believe in Tua and I believe in the offense. It's just did they dig themselves too deep of a hole? They might have, but I'm someone who I'm going to be optimistic the way through. So I like to think they can do it.
Look, the Dolphins have a lot of really easy games coming up. And
Mhm.
since Tua came back from injury, the last three games have been really promising with a 1 point loss to the Cardinals, a 3 point loss to the Bills, and a win over the Rams. That's improvement in every game, I think. And, now they're going to look to improve against a really bad Raiders team. And then they host the Patriots. They go to Green Bay, which is not going to be easy. And then they
That's an
host the
automatic
Jets.
loss.
They
The
they
Green
host the
Bay
Jets and then go to Houston and then they host the Niners, go to the Browns and go to the Jets. There are a lot of winnable games in that schedule, and I could
yeah,
definitely see them coming out with 8 wins.
they can
Which
afford to lose too. That's
I think 9 wins is enough for the 7th seed in this
yeah,
AFC.
Look, I
I
think
agree.
9 wins is going to be a tough sell because that means they got to beat either the Packers, Texans, or Niners.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a tough sell, but I think eight
Hmm.
wins is a very realistic goal to set. I don't think they'll end up with that number. I think they'll sit in the 6 or 7 range if I had to guess. But like you said, look, anything's possible because with Tua, we'd be talking about an 11-win team. So, anything's possible. And I'm not going to talk about this game for too long because the Raiders are that bad. But yeah, give me the Dolphins pretty comfortably here.
Who's starting
Yeah,
for the Raiders? Is it Minshew or O'Connell?
Couldn't tell you.
I think it's Minshew. I'm not for sure though.
Yeah.
I'm not for sure. I think the Raiders have been honestly one of the most irrelevant teams in the NFL this year. They are a sneaky contender for the first overall pick. They're a bad defensive team. They're a bad offensive team. And Miami are starting. They could, maybe that's the start of a turnaround. I mean, that's the best performance of the season for me. I mean, offensively, they were able to move the ball. Obviously, weren't able to punch it in, but that defense, stellar performance, limiting Stafford, limiting Nakua, limiting Cup, limiting Kyron, especially. And that was a Rams team that was healthier than they were most weeks. So Miami, obviously, you don't expect them to get that win on the road. They haven't done so that often in the McDaniel era. So really like that for them. And I think they'll win against the Raiders pretty easily here. But moving on now to the next game, another not great game for me. We have the Browns against the Saints in New Orleans. Saints got a decent win though. They beat the Falcons. Probably a big surprise with their new interim head coach. Is it Darren Rizzi? I think that's
Darren
his
Rizzi.
Darren
Yeah.
Rizzi. Yeah, I don't know what to think about that right now, but
Former Dolphins special teams coach, actually.
huh.
Wow.
But yeah, that means a lot. But anyways, let's get into this one.
I don't see a world that any of these teams are competitive down the line or even like can play spoiler. They're just that bad.
Mhm.
I think Cleveland have honestly none of these teams have any motivation to win this game. They're both out of the playoff race. I think Cleveland have the better put together team on paper, and they've gone out and shown that they can beat teams that are better than them with the win against Baltimore. They played really well against Philadelphia, but they do play down to competition. So the Saints beat Atlanta last week. So I'm still caught in the middle of what I think I'm going to do here. I think I'm going to pick Cleveland because I think I trust Jameis more than I trust Carr at this point, but that's a tough sell. I'm just going to pick Cleveland.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Saints because I trust the Saints offense in general more than the Browns. The Browns do have a much better defense, but when it comes to offensive weapons, the Browns are just really lacking any right now, especially considering Nick Chubb hasn't been Nick Chubb yet.
Mhm.
Not that he can't get back there, but it's been 2 games and there's no way of telling. Um, but now coming off of a bye week, maybe we do see Nick Chubb come back and be incredible. And if so, then the Browns could be set up for a few more wins this season. The Saints, as of right now, I think are crazy to say because they're so unreliable, but the slightly more reliable team for me here.
Yeah, I disagree. I'm gonna go Cleveland here. Mainly because I know MVS had that random 100-yard performance where he looked like one of the best receivers in the league, but that feels like a fluke for me. The Saints still don't have any real good receivers or even competent receiver. Maybe MVS, but still no real receivers for me. Um, I don't think that I know the Browns are bad too, but I do still trust that defense. I trust that Jameis honestly will have a decent homecoming because at least I think he is capable of making it work with some weapons at least. So I'm gonna go with the Browns here. Um, Pretty bad matchup, honestly. I mean, this is just not one that I'm gonna be turning on, or at least if I'm watching Red Zone, I'm like, please don't switch to this game. So yeah, I'm gonna go Browns though. Moving on though, we have my New York Jets hosting the Indianapolis Colts in what was supposed to be the Geriatric Bowl with Aaron Rodgers versus Joe Flacco. Both, I don't know if Flacco's 40. He's like, but he's basically there. Um, but now Anthony Richardson has been made into the starting quarterback, which definitely does change the matchup, changes a lot about the matchup. So, going to you guys, what do you guys think about this one?
Again, another game that I don't have much to say about. Both of these teams are practically out of any race after the last couple of games. The Jets got curb stomped by Kyler Murray and the Cardinals. Joe Flacco proved me wrong in thinking that he could go out there and play competent football like he has for his whole career. I guess finally Father Time has caught up to him. Anthony Richardson is worse, though. I don't know. Honestly, I'm going to pick the Colts because the Jets are just that dysfunctional that they can manage to lose to an Anthony Richardson led team. The defense has looked terrible after the Salah firing, probably the worst defense in the league. And Jonathan Taylor has the capabilities to run all over them. So that'll be my reasoning to pick the Colts.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Jets because I think that, you know, as dysfunctional as the Jets may be, the Colts are still pretty freaking dysfunctional as well. And now that they're going to a quarterback who they said wasn't going to see the field for the rest of the season, it's just some very interesting management right now in Indy. And I don't really know what's going on, but I don't know. I could see Richardson not completing a pass all game just because he doesn't want to. Like imagine that they say,
Mm.
Anthony, you're not going to play for the rest of the season, and then 2 weeks later they're like, hey, you want to go back out there? And he's just like, no, why would
Very
I want to do
functional
that?
franchise right there.
Super.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with the Jets at home. I trust Rodgers a whole lot more than anyone on the Colts. So
Yeah. It is the battle of mid for me. Maybe that's being generous, but I'm gonna go with the Jets here as well, just because I think A, that Colts defense has not been very good this season. B, I think Anthony Richardson, while he is a better fit for this game because the Jets do struggle at defending the run, he is due for a couple of turnovers, and I think that's gonna hurt them. And then C, it's not even a contest between the two supporting cast. I think the Jets are just overall a much better team. Even if coaching obviously masks that, they're still gonna win this one pretty comfortably at home. They better. I mean, honestly, maybe at this point, maybe they should just be tanking, but
yeah,
still, Jets
sure,
win this one pretty
for
comfortably.
sure.
Moving on now, we have the Minnesota Vikings playing the Tennessee Titans. Um, yeah, not much to say about this one either. I feel like this is a pretty easy one.
Yeah, Minnesota's going to go out there and do what they've done all year, play good defense and stifle their opponents to less than expected amount of points. Tennessee had actually done a pretty good job at putting up points against good defenses this year. They scored, I think, over 20 against Detroit. I think
No, they scored
they
14.
14 against Detroit, but yeah, it was some good drives from them against Detroit. They didn't do too badly last week offensively against LA Chargers, who have one of the best defenses in the league. So I think they'll put up some points, but Minnesota is going to be able to get the job done regardless, even though Darnold has looked really bad the last couple of weeks after the Detroit loss. He hasn't looked the same.
See,
I
I
I
disagree with
still
that.
think Minnesota are going to be able to get the job. How do you
Look,
disagree with that?
no, 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 no,
He
no.
threw four
Okay.
picks in
No, no,
Jacksonville.
no, no, no. Okay, okay. I wouldn't say I disagree. That's going too far. But I think people are overestimating how important that is because it's been 2 weeks where, yes, he's been a turnover machine. And I agree with that. But I believe that that's going to regress to the mean. I think
Do
he's
you
been
give
someone
him the
that
benefit of the doubt after the
I
course
do.
of his career? I don't think you do.
I give him the benefit of the doubt after this season.
Jets
He's
fan
been good
speaking.
overall. He's been good this season, and he's still been moving the ball very, very well. Like I'm going to take out the interceptions, and
But
obviously they're a key part. But I'm just
you
talking about
can't
right
do
now.
that.
No, no, but I'm saying it because yeah, I'm talking about besides the interceptions right now, he is moving the ball at a really good rate. He was 28 for 34 and 290 yards in the game against Indianapolis. He just has to
including
cut
the
out the
But it
turnovers.
doesn't
interceptions,
matter.
I no,
including the
but
interceptions.
I'm
He's a
saying
detriment to the
Minnesota are
offense.
still No, I agree. 100% agree. But I think that's just an outlier. And I think they're still
Why?
been
How is
because
it an
they've been
outlier?
moving the ball
Like
around.
he's been
They've been
doing this his
moving the
whole career. He's been going to teams and turning the
Has he been
ball
doing
over.
it this season though? Has he been doing it
Now
this
he
season?
is. He's done
The
it two
past
games in a
2 weeks.
row.
2 games
Yeah,
in a row.
two
That's not
games
a
in a
large
row.
enough sample size. They've been and in
And
this 2 game
the
stretch,
6 games he played well at the start of the season is a good enough sample size to say that he's the guy that's going to lead this team forward. I
six
don't
games
think
is a
so.
much is that's 3 times the sample size. Yes,
Is
and the Vikings
Yeah,
are
is
but
it
he
seven.
had
bigger than
three, he
the
had
sample
four
size?
seasons before that.
He had so much time where he
Yeah,
was
this is
bad.
his first season in Minnesota, and this is the best he's looked his whole career. They're moving the ball well every single game. I think Tennessee is going to be a bounce back game for him. I think he's going to, well, not bounce back in the sense that they're not going to be able to move the ball because they've been doing that all season long. But I don't think he's going to be throwing any picks this game. I don't
Shouldn't
think Tennessee
Jacksonville
are
have been that bounce back?
what?
Shouldn't Jacksonville have been that bounce back?
Yeah, it
Jacksonville
should
have a
have. It was a
terrible
bad
defense.
week. It was a bad week. I don't think it's going to continue. I think Minnesota are going to play very well on offense, and Tennessee haven't scored 20 or more points all season, so they're going to not do anything to challenge that. And I think that's going to make life easier for Sam. So yeah, Vikings win this one very comfortably. Charlie, I think we skipped you, so my bad.
Oh, no, you're good. I look, Darnold has been really impressive this season, but it's hard to see a quarterback who has failed in the past come back and start failing again. Now, I'm not saying that that's going to continue or it's not,
Mhm.
but it's hard to see him throw what 6 interceptions in the last 2 weeks
Five,
and
but
say
yes,
5 interceptions in the last 2 weeks against two really, really bad defenses, and
right.
a lot of which were in really crucial parts. I think he threw 3 interceptions in the end zone to Justin
In
Jefferson this
yeah,
week.
Mhm.
Um, that's the part that really gets you because look, when you look at that for other players in crucial moments, the turnovers that's where they really matter. When you
Mhm.
turn the ball over in a 0-0 ball game and it's the first drive of the game, it might not come back to haunt you. It might not. But when Tyrone Tracy fumbled the ball on the first play in overtime, the
Right.
Giants lost because of it. The Vikings should have lost the last 2 weeks. They are lucky that they were playing the Colts and the Jaguars because their defense was able to do enough, and their defense has been incredible.
Mhm.
So all credit to them. And Darnold has been incredible for most of the season, and their offense
Mhm.
has been great. But if this trend continues, they're not going to keep getting away with it.
I
Now,
agree.
I really hope for their sake that it does not continue. And I don't think it will in this week. I think playing against the Titans, this is an easy enough win that even if it does continue, they could still get away with it. But with the Bears, Cardinals, Falcons, Bears, Seahawks, Packers, Lions, they have no gimme games left after this week. And if Darnold keeps playing the way he's playing, they will go 7-10. They will.
Mhm.
Because no one's going to come out and none of those teams are going to intercept him 3 times and still lose.
But that's not going to happen. Here's the thing.
It's not going to happen. I agree with you. So I'm going to take the Vikings to win this, and I think the Vikings are going to end up probably with the 6th seed in the NFC. But they need to figure something out because the trend just can't continue. In 2 bad weeks in a row, I'm not going to be on completely on Dylan's side here. I don't think that this means Sam Darnold is turning back into old Sam Darnold. But
Mhm.
it's just a really scary sight when you
No,
see it
no, and
based
I
on what's
So
understand
happening.
that.
here's the thing, though.
But
Here's
I
the thing,
think,
though.
yeah, go ahead.
I don't think Sam Darnold ever left. This is a guy who's been
That's just a crazy take, though.
he's been incredibly streaky his whole career. He's had
Okay,
good
Dylan,
games.
Dylan,
And
Dylan.
now, yeah,
Jared Goff threw 5 picks last week. Does that mean you're
Jared,
giving up on Jared Goff?
no,
He
Jared
threw
Goff
five.
has been he's been a consistent starting quarterback through the course of his career and has been top 10 this season. So how can I say
He's not
that
been
he
top
is
10.
this season you can make the argument he's not top 10 in general. This season it's not an argument. But he's been
But
consistent. He's been great. Sam
Sam
Darnold
Darnold
was
has been top 10 this
no, no,
season.
no, but
Exactly.
Sam Darnold has
Exactly.
not. Sam Darnold has never been good before this season.
Yeah.
So I don't. So that's where my problem comes in. Is this season
No, I get
played
that,
maybe
but I think
six.
when
He's played 6 really good games, but after that, and you look at every other
There,
game he's played in the course of his career,
but
he's a
we've seen
streak.
quarterbacks have
there
late
is
resurgences
also
going to a new coaching staff. Like we saw that with Geno Smith, for example. I think
But I'm not
that's
convinced by Geno Smith either. But that's
fair,
besides
but
the
there's
point,
also
anyways. But
also to reinforce the Goff versus Darnold one there. There's a really, really big difference between one bad game and two.
I agree.
Stringing together two bad games in a row is a it's exponentially worse than just one. It just curves in that way.
I agree.
And they were still, Goff was still able to notch a win against a very good Texans team. So I think this is not the same conversation whatsoever. Goff is also a Super Bowl participant. Um, I guess you can't, necessarily.
Technically, Darnold is too, but
Yeah, exactly.
but
He's
not to
actually
hit my
more recently been in the Super Bowl. But
not to
either
hit
way,
my
no, look, I
not to hit
understand.
myself in the head with a
No,
hammer though. I just don't see Sam Darnold
Yeah,
of I see
I get it.
Sam Darnold of old coming back right now. I'm watching it with my own eyes, and not to say that Tennessee's gonna win this game. I just don't know how competitive Minnesota is going to be down the stretch for the division or in a wild card game because they will make the playoffs. They started off too
hmm
hot not to make the playoffs,
hmm
but I just really have trouble having faith in a guy who's failed so many times.
Look, I disagree mainly because I think we even in games where which he has had games like this in his career, he's never been this productive even in those games. He's still moving the ball at a really high rate, and
That's when
we've
we
seen
factor in
turnover.
O'Connell though.
No,
That's when
no,
we
I agree. Is
factor in the
O'Connell
system. Yeah.
leaving? Is O'Connell
No,
leaving? That's
no,
the
he's
point
not.
I'm trying to make. That's why he's gonna have a good
He's
game.
getting worse though. That's another. He's
It's a 2 game stretch. If he has another bad game against Tennessee, then we'll talk about it. I think
all
right
right.
now he's
You know
still
what? I'll
moving the
leave it at
ball
that
at a
then.
high rate. I think they're going to be fine. But either way, let's move on now to the next game. The Green Bay Packers going to Chicago to play the Bears, who are seemingly in free fall right now. So, what do you guys think about this one?
Green Bay is going to. It's in Soldier Field, correct?
It's in Soldier Field.
Green Bay are going to walk into Soldier Field and beat the Bears. They're going to win so easily. I sound like the future president right now, the way I'm talking. But they're
Beat the Bears.
they're going to beat the Bears so well. They're going to do it better than anyone ever before.
You
Uh,
gotta do the hand like they're gonna be.
Never before. The Green Bay Packers, great Green Bay Packers. They're going to beat the
Hmm.
Bears. Okay, I'm done. But they're going
That's a
to
good job.
do a. Yeah, I thought that was a pretty good
Thank you.
impression,
Yeah,
right?
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
God damn it.
solid.
I can't. Fuck this country. But.
Well, no political
Wow, we
terminology.
just lost one viewer right there.
No,
No, we
but
lost more than half of our viewers.
So one viewer. Actually, we did pretty well the last video. So you
All
know
right,
what?
let's move on. Let's move on. Come on.
Either ways, yeah.
the Bears are going to lose this game. Aberflus needs to be fired as soon as possible. Caleb Williams has been okay, but you'd expect him to be better than where he's been over the course of the start of the year. Stop smiling. I know how smug you feel right now, Charlie. Stop smiling. This is a team that has not given him the best opportunities to succeed. And I know you would say, you know what? They had three elite receiving options at the start of the year. Well, clearly they don't. And the
Mhm.
offensive line that was supposed to be habitable, clearly they aren't. Aberflus hired Shane Waldron, who is supposed to be a good offensive mind to help Caleb Williams out. Clearly, he isn't. This team just has no concept of how to run an offense. We've seen this happen with defensive head coaches in the past. They have no clue who they're hiring on the offensive side of the ball because they have egos that make them think that their defense is going to be able to win them the game regardless. Well, I'll tell you what, it's an offensive league. You can't win games with crappy offensive play calling. You can't win games when you're not giving your weapons the ball. You can't win games when your quarterback's getting pressured on every drop back. This is a team that isn't
Mhm.
competitive, even though they have a competitive roster, and it's all because Matt Aberflus didn't have the courage to look in his eye of eyes and adapt to the times of the NFL. You need innovative play calling. Shane Waldron wasn't that. You get him out. They did the right thing there. But Aberflus is gone now. This is a
And
team
we've
that they had a rebuild. They screwed it up. Now they have to go in and get a second coach in 2 years for Caleb Williams. It's despicable management.
and we've seen this before with teams where they kind of try and go into this half rebuild, like half rebuilding like the entire organization and half kind of trying to keep things the same. And that's why I'm like, if you're taking Caleb Williams #1 overall, you have to completely go with a fresh start. And I know they went 7-10 and did okay down the stretch, but Eberflus was never the guy that was behind that, in my opinion. And now you're going into a situation where you have a defensive coach that clearly has no interest in the offensive side of the ball. They just fired Shane Waldron, who I think, which is a good move, but an offensive coordinator change for rookie quarterback is never a good sign. Caleb obviously right now he just looks lost out there. I mean, I know obviously offensive line has a big part to do with it. Receivers obviously underperforming. Cough, DJ Moore has a lot to do with it, but at the same time, he's holding the ball too long. He doesn't really. This deep ball has been really disappointing. That's something that I was expecting a lot more from, and it's just rough right now for him. And I think Thomas Brown will do a better job. At least we'll let him air it out a bit more, which is a good sign. But yeah, no, Green Bay are great against the run. They're great against the pass. They're going to win this one pretty comfortably.
Yeah, agreed. I think this is a very easy Green Bay win, and I love hearing about how bad Caleb Williams has been.
Mm.
Oh, it just warms my heart. Um, I will say though, I'm not gonna like go crazy with this. I don't think Caleb Williams has been that bad. I think Caleb Williams has been very adequate, especially considering what he's, playing through being Chicago. Um,
Worse than
the
any
Bears
injury.
have been have been so bad for so long that it's hard to just like some teams just can't change their ways. It's a really strange phenomenon that's happening in Chicago right now. And I think there are two times to draft a quarterback. One is when you are ready to make a Super Bowl push and you're just missing a quarterback. And the other one is when your whole team is garbage and your quarterback is your starting point. The Bears were neither. Serge, that's kind of what you were saying. Like the
Hmm.
Bears were just neither. They had pieces, but not enough pieces.
Right.
Nobody thought Caleb would come in and they'd still end up with a top five pick next year, and nobody thought Caleb would come in and they'd go to the Super Bowl. So when you're kind of in that in-between phase, it's a really interesting time to draft him. And not that it was a bad pick, because they made the pick that they had to make, but it just hasn't worked out. And a combination of that has been Caleb Williams' decision making and also the horrendous offensive play calling and scheming and whatever goes on in that offense just has to change like now, or else
Yeah.
they will be awful for the rest of the season. They got to get DJ Moore the ball. He's got to play well. They have to use Romo Dunze. They have to use Keenan Allen. They have to use DeAndre Swift. They have to use Cole Kmet. They have to use their offense better. And Caleb Williams has to play better
Hmm.
because he has not been bad, but he has not been good. He has to play better. He's a number one overall pick.
No, yeah. And I think when you have a performance like that against the Patriots, who are one of the worst teams in the NFL, that's not just one thing going wrong. That's a sign of everything going wrong. And it's why someone had to take the fall, and Waldron was the guy. But it's a sign of not just bad play calling, it's bad quarterback play. I think he has been bad. I mean, not for a rookie, but just in general for league
Well, but
average. He's
I don't
bad.
think he's been bad just considering the situation he's in.
Okay, no, that's fair. But I think he's made his own bed at times too. And I
Correct.
think and I think combine that with bad offensive play calling, honestly bad receiver play, which no one anticipated, and it's just been a shit show for Chicago. So um I don't really anticipate it changing against Green Bay, but I think that's it for that game. We'll move on now to the Mac Jones led Jacksonville Jaguars going to Detroit to play the Lions. I'm not gonna lie, this feels like one of our patented 3-2-1s, unless
Yeah,
anyone
I
has
think we do
anything
it.
to
Yeah.
say. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Three,
Three,
two,
two, one.
one.
Detroit.
Lions.
Yeah.
Lions. Why would you
Yeah.
say Detroit, man?
Come on,
What?
man. It was
How
supposed to be in sync.
you want to blame me for saying the wrong team name, even though we never clarified which team name we were
We
using?
were saying
Let's
Lions. We
just
were
move on.
that's
We
all
don't want to
right.
stretch out the one that we thought was going to be short by arguing over
Okay.
Detroit versus
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Lions.
We have some good games coming up, so let's save the time. Not the next one though, because it's the Los Angeles Rams going to New England to playing the Patriots. I mean, there is something to be interested about, but the Rams,
Three,
a team that
two,
I was
No,
one.
actually,
no,
The
no, 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 no.
I mean,
Rams. Don't
a
pick the
Rams team that I
Patriots.
was a bit interested in, that I thought they could sneakily make a playoff run. Devastating loss for me for their season, losing to Miami at home. So I'm gonna give it to you guys. What do you think about this
In the NFC, all of these games now in that wild card race and in the NFC West race
one?
are so important. And losing at home in prime time, not scoring a touchdown against the team that was 2-6 at the time, as good as I think Miami could be, they weren't good up to
Hmm.
that point. That is a brutal, brutal loss. And I think it could slow up what I thought was potentially a playoff roster.
Yep.
Nakua and Cup looked all but neutralized. Kyron Williams, who's been the catalyst for this offense, pretty much nothing. Matthew Stafford looked like a shell of his former self. He is just the only thing that's going to keep this team running. And if he's not playing good football, you're not going to get anything out of Los Angeles. That being said, although New England have looked somewhat impressive in the last couple of weeks, they've played good games against good teams. And I still think Chicago, as much as I just rambled on about them, they have a good roster and good football players are hard to play football against. But I just don't know that they can go out there and string performances together. I think the Rams are going to win this game.
Yeah, I'm with you. And this one's a pretty easy one for me. I think the Rams are just a better team than the Patriots right now, and I have a hard time seeing the Patriots defending Kyron and Cup and Nakua, which you said the Dolphins did a really good job of. I think it was a fine job. Nakua and Cup both had very solid games. They did manage to hold Kyron very, very well, though it was a player who I believe had scored a touchdown in every game this season and failed
Mhm.
to score against Miami, which again is not entirely his fault because a lot of them are short yardage runs. But they just didn't get much going. They'll rebound this week. They have too many playmakers not to against the Patriots.
Yeah, I agree. I think Los Angeles win this one. Um, yeah, I think the best thing about Miami's defense last week and the worst thing for Los Angeles was red zone. They were able to move the ball down the field relatively well, especially in the first half, but they just were not able to finish off drives, whether it was red zone or like inside the 40-yard line. They were very disappointing there, and that's something they do have to rebound against, in my opinion, a worse Patriots defense this year. I think they win this one comfortably, mainly for me, because one thing that was impressive for them was their defensive line. I love this young, new look Rams defensive line without Aaron Donald because I think Jared Verse, for me, is the defensive rookie of the year. Braden Fisk, as well, has been phenomenal. So is Kobe Turner and Byron Young, both solid players as well, who I think are both second years as well. Against a weak Patriots offensive line, I feel like Drake May is going to be running for his life. He's going to make plays because he has this season, but not enough for me. I think the Rams win this one. But now moving on to, I feel like the first, well, okay, we had the Eagles Commanders, but the first Sunday big game, we have the Baltimore Ravens going to Pittsburgh to play the Steelers in a battle for first in the AFC North. I'm really excited for this one.
I think that this is the game of the week, first of all. But
Okay, just being fake woke. Let's be real.
what do you mean?
The Chiefs and the Bills play this week, bro.
Oh, I actually forgot about that. Yeah, fair
Okay.
enough. But Pittsburgh have Baltimore's number. It's as simple as that. Pittsburgh lead this division. They have arguably the best defense in the league. And I really believe in what this offense has started to do with Russell Wilson and with the running back duo of Najee Harris and Jalen Warren, and now with George Pickens and Mike Williams, who could arguably be top five contested catchers in the league. It really
Mhm.
works out well. I think that George Pickens is the best contested catcher in the league. And they have everything suited for Russell Wilson to go out and win a lot of football games. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think they're undefeated under Russ, right?
They are. Yep, 3-0.
I think that continues. I think he goes out and beats the Ravens in it's in Pittsburgh, correct?
It is. No, it's in Baltimore.
It's
Wait,
in
actually,
Baltimore.
wait.
No, it's in
Actually,
Pittsburgh.
no. No, it is in Pittsburgh.
It's in
Sorry, you're
Pittsburgh.
right.
It's in Pittsburgh.
My bad.
Yeah, this is going to be just a rowdy AFC cold crowd. Rally towels going around everywhere. I think Pittsburgh get the best of the environment against the Ravens, and the defense is going to do a good job to limit Lamar Jackson as much as humanly possible. I know he's still going to have a phenomenal game, but they're going to do a good job at stopping everything else in that offense. Derrick Henry, I'm not expecting to have a big game. I'm going to go with Pittsburgh to win.
I'm not gonna think of it as a crazy take, but I actually do think this is game of the week. This is the kind of game that just
I
Yeah,
just
I kind
doesn't
of
it
agree.
seem like it should be
I
a
kind of agree.
snowy.
Yeah, no,
the most
I do
here's
agree.
the thing. It's the most consequential game of the week, and maybe that makes it game of the week.
Yeah,
I mean, no,
that
it's not.
matters.
I don't think it's the most. I mean, it's the Chiefs Bills game is also a super consequential
Oh
game.
yeah,
There's
yeah,
no
no, I agree.
no denying
But
that.
this is for first in the division.
Yeah, but it's for first in division in week 11, which
Yeah,
like,
no,
am I
sure,
right?
sure.
So, but you were talking about George Pickens. You know who he reminds me a little bit of is Odell Beckham.
Yeah, I see it.
In terms of his contested catchability, Odell was a whole
And
lot faster
Yak,
than Pickens,
but Pickens still is really good at yards after
but
the catch.
Odell was better with the
It's
ball in his
different.
hands.
Oh
Like
yeah, yeah. No,
it's
no,
yeah.
Odell is
Odell,
different. I'm not
Odell
comparing
was
anyone to Odell in
one
that
of the best with the
respect.
ball in his hands ever,
Yeah.
And Pickens just has the contested catchability that reminds me so much of Odell. And then the other part of Odell is what Jamar Chase has with the ball in his hands.
If
Um,
Pickens just had a little bit better separation skill, I think you could make a serious argument for him being a top five receiver in the league, but he just doesn't have
well, yeah,
that.
and it's also tough because the stats don't show that he's a top five
Yeah.
receiver in the league. And
Mhm.
for receivers, the
I
stats
think
are
he
a
still could
very,
be a top, not
very
now, but
big
I think
part of
he
it.
will be a top five receiver in the league.
Um,
Yeah.
But this is a really, really, very excited to watch this game because this just feels like a very highly anticipated game. I wish this was our Week 18 matchup.
Mm.
Winner takes division,
I mean,
loser
it
comes
could be.
second and gets
I don't
fifth
think it
spot
is,
in the
but
AFC. Um, I'm gonna take the Ravens in this one. I think it's so, so close because I see this game going both ways. I think both teams score 30 points in this one. I know the Steelers have a great defense and the Ravens have a great defense, but I just see when I see this matchup, I see points. I
mhm.
see touchdown, 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 teams fighting. And I'm gonna see the Ravens just scoring one more time. And I'm gonna
Mm.
take the Ravens.
Yeah. One thing that I have trouble doing with this year, sometimes I have to remind myself, this isn't the 2023 Steelers. Because yes, they still have a great defense, but this offense is completely different. And may I remind you, in our Buster Boom prediction for the Steelers at the start of the season, I did say that this offense was different.
Okay, so
I
I
did
will.
say,
I was on that and I was arguing with you. I will give you credit because
yep.
Russell Wilson is like better than I expected him to be, but
Mhm.
Justin Fields sucked, and I'll stand on that. But go
He
go
did
ahead.
not suck. But okay, either way. Um, it's so funny because everything I look at actually tells me the Steelers are going to win this one because I think the Ravens have the most exploitable weakness in this matchup, and that's the secondary. Their secondary has looked really bad, and I think with the addition of Mike Williams, they're due for a couple of big plays because Russell Wilson, obviously, I think he still has one of the best deep balls in the league, and you
He's the
have
prettiest deep ball in the league.
definitely, and I think with Pickens, with Mike Williams, one of them are going to make at least a few plays.
Daniel Jones is the
The
prettiest.
question
Tell
is,
me I'm wrong.
I feel like the reason why I still really want to pick the Ravens is because Lamar looks on another level. And we say that a lot, but this is the best football he's been playing his career. And I'm wondering, is this the year he overcomes Pittsburgh and that defense, especially at Heinz Field or whatever it's called now? It's always Heinz Field for me. But I think it's Acrisure Field. It's so stupid.
Yeah.
But that's meaningless. Is this the year he overcomes that Steelers defense? Is this the year he overcomes Mike Tomlin? They have the weapons to do it. They have the play calling to do it. I think they do. I think they do it. I think the Ravens win just because I think Lamar Jackson is playing at that high of a level right now. He is the MVP right now. They just barely do it. They do it. It's not going to be as ugly as it's been in previous years. I agree with Charlie. Not that it'll be 30s, but I think it'll be a more fun to watch matchup because both teams are better than last year, at least on offense. And I think the Ravens will barely win it. But now, moving on to our next matchup. Sorry, I'm just pulling this up. Give me a second. We have the San Francisco 49ers hosting the Seattle Seahawks. Big win for San Francisco last week, and they kind of look like they're starting to put together a mini resurgence there.
San Fran in three. It's not even close. I don't think Seattle are going to be a team that anyone has their eye on at the back end of this year. They're a team that is pretty much solely running off of big plays, and Kenneth Walker has not been Kenneth Walker to this point for them. They need a serious reality check. If there is one that's going to be provided, it's going to be this week in San Francisco. And I think that this game is going to be a pretty convincing, if not a blowout, San Francisco win.
Did you guys see Brock Purdy's run last week?
Yes, I did.
He looked
Which
so fast.
he is
He's faster
fast.
than people give him credit for.
Like he just doesn't move a lot, which is actually a really good thing. It's a very admirable quality for a quarterback to just not move. Um, he's a rock in the pocket, and that's a really, really good thing, which that sounds so cool. Rock in the pocket. Damn,
Rock in the pocket.
Ro-
Now I want to
rock in
put
the
a rock in my
pock.
pocket.
we should be
Rock in the
rock in the
pock.
pocket podcast. Damn.
Oh,
Ooh.
Um, but yeah, I'm gonna take the Niners in
okay.
this one. I agree. In Santa Clara, this is look, if there's one team that I think could expose the Niners, it's a big play team like the Seahawks because they're hard to just break down, chip away at.
Is
But
DK going to be healthy for this week?
I
Is he
believe
expect?
so. I
Okay, that's
believe so.
The
It
Niners
doesn't
also just
change anything,
re-signed
but
Diamador Lenore to like a
yeah,
massive extension.
a bit of an
What was it,
overpay, but
five
I
years,
like him. He's a
92
good player.
million, but he's a really good corner, so I like
Mhm.
it. But yeah, I'm gonna take the Niners in this one. Now that McCaffrey's healthy, he didn't play super well last week, but expect that to just improve as the season goes.
cut Jake Moody.
Hey, respect
Well,
Michigan
okay,
management.
here's the thing. Jake Moody was one of the best kickers in the league for the first 8 weeks.
Yeah,
Then he took a week or
he'll.
two off to injury, right?
Yep,
And comes back and misses 3 field goals.
He
he'll be
was
fine.
bad last year, though.
He wasn't bad. I mean, he showed
He
up in the
missed.
Super Bowl,
Yeah, he did.
but yeah, I think I'm gonna go San Francisco in this one too, mainly because I think Seattle's secondary at this point is a weakness. And San Francisco, even without Brandon Ayuk, still have a very strong receiving core. We're seeing Juwan Jennings really step up with in the absence of Ayuk and in the absence of Debo earlier in the season. And we're seeing Pearsall start to come into his own as well. So I really like that. And McCaffrey, it's so funny that for him, even in a bad game, he's still having over 100 total yards. So I think I agree with you. He's going to be a lot better this week as well. And I think San Francisco win this one comfortably. Moving on now to the next game, we have a sneaky good matchup. I kind of like this one. We have the Denver Broncos hosting the Atlanta Falcons, kind of an offense versus defense matchup, I would say. So who do you guys think wins this one? It's in Denver, by the way.
This is such an interesting game because Denver's defense is one of the best in the league. There's no doubt about that. But I really am a fan of Atlanta and the way that they've been playing recently up until the New Orleans game. I'm gonna go Atlanta because I do not believe that Denver have a compatible offense to the level of Atlanta's full team. They've kind of feasted on bad teams when they've gone out and won games, but I do think they're going to become a little bit more. They're going to become a little bit more regular offensively. This was a team that had no run game whatsoever. They're going to be putting in their rookie Audric Estime as the starter this week, and he's someone that's going to be able to
Mm.
steer this
Nyack
team towards
represent.
Nyack represent, but he's going to be someone that's going to steer this team towards a more uh, comparatively run heavy team because this is a team with no receivers. So I do like that, but I just think Atlanta have the better options. Honestly, I think the defense stacks up pretty well to Denver's offense this week. So I'm going to go Atlanta.
I don't think there are many defenses that don't stack up very well to the
Mhm.
Broncos offense because the
Yeah, but
Broncos offense is
Atlanta's
not very
defense
good.
isn't good though. Atlanta's defense isn't good though.
Mm.
True that the Broncos have feasted on bad teams because the first number is that the Broncos haven't lost a game by more than a score with the exception of the Ravens. They also beat the Chiefs last week. Sorry, it just cut out for a second.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, it's
yeah.
all good.
Did you say beat or should have?
Back. What did you guys
You said
hear?
beat.
I said
Yeah.
beat. Look, the Broncos in my head beat the Chiefs last week and got super unlucky. A field goal got blocked. Again, it's devil magic, so they really should have won that game by 99 times in 100. That doesn't happen. So yes, they lost that game, and yes, it shows up in their record and they're on their scoreboard as a loss. But they are good enough to go out and beat a good portion of the teams in the NFL right now because their defense is so solid. So I think the Broncos high go out and beat the Falcons.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Denver here. I think Denver. I'm gonna go Denver here mainly because I think Denver's defense stacks up really well with what Atlanta want to do. I think they're gonna slow down Kirk Cousins and that passing game, especially when they're going on the road to play in in Denver and Atlanta. Also, kind of coming off a pretty, I wouldn't say like a massive. Well, it is kind of a big loss
It's a
losing to the
horrible
Saints.
loss.
It's a
Yeah.
bad loss. I mean, the Saints were on a 7 game losing streak. You should definitely be winning that game. And I feel like that might carry over, especially going to the West Coast on the road against a great defense. I think Bo Nix is going to show up and he's going to be good this week. I think this is going to be one of Bo Nix's good games. And I think the Broncos are going to recover from that Chiefs loss. I mean, you heard, I think there was some Denver beat reporter said, I haven't seen a locker room this devastated since the Super Bowl where they lost 43-8. So either that can make or break you. I think it's going to make them. I think they're going to win this week against Atlanta and make a huge push for that wild card spot. But now, this is the game of the week. I'm sorry. I know what you guys said. This is the game of the week. We have the Kansas City Chiefs, the undefeated Kansas City Chiefs, going to Buffalo to play the Bills. And if the Chiefs win this game, they've got the number one seed wrapped up. They can basically coast the rest of the season. So huge implications in for this one. Arguably the two best quarterbacks in the league facing off against each other. Dylan, I'm gonna go to you first. What do you think about this one?
Well, it's not the two best quarterbacks in the
I
league.
knew you
Lamar
were gonna say
Jackson
that, but that's why
is
I
the
asked.
best quarterback in the league, but Patrick Mahomes versus Josh Allen is a tale of time. It's Josh Allen plays a acceptable to good game. Patrick Mahomes uses devil magic. People say Josh Allen is as good as Patrick Mahomes, even though he never wins it. But put that to the side. I think that these two defenses are going to be the catalyst for this game, and they have been the last couple of times that they've played against each other. Buffalo, although the defense hasn't been maybe as strong towards the back end of this season's, I mean, back end as in this season's last couple of games, they still do have one of the best groups in the league. Sean McDermott always does a phenomenal job of coaching them up to play against Kansas City. Since that shootout in 2021, I want to say, was it 21 or 22? The big shootout.
22.
They've,
Well, it was the 20. Well, it was the 2021, 2022
yeah,
season.
2021 season, though. These two teams have played against each other incredibly well defensively. And if it wasn't for a fake punt DeMar Hamlin moment in the playoffs, there was a chance that Buffalo went out and won that game against KC, who won the Super Bowl. I don't think they're going to get that lucky this time. I think Kansas City's going to go out with almost a chip on their shoulder for a game they should have lost in Denver and step up to the moment like they seem to always do and beat the Bills. Josh Allen has been very safe with the football this season up until the last 2 weeks, where he's now thrown a couple of interceptions where he really shouldn't have. I think Kansas City's going to capitalize on that. And with the lack of receiving options in Buffalo, honestly, Josh Allen's starting to decrease in level over the course of the last couple of weeks. And just Kansas City's well-oiled machine that just uses whatever they can to win games. I can't pick against them right now as much as I might want to.
I I actually, contrary to what you said, Serge, I don't think this is game of the week. And I know we talked about that earlier with the Ravens Steelers, but I actually think this is going to be, as far as marquee matchups go, a more boring one. I think that when these teams face off, it gets really exciting in at the end of the fourth quarter. But other than that, it's nothing remarkable to watch.
But what do you find exciting
And
though?
no. I just think that the Ravens Steelers game is going to be a lot of points and a lot of scoring and really close the whole way. Whereas I think this game is going to end, I don't know,
That's
20 to
kind of the more. That's
17
kind of like the
or
calling card of Chiefs Bills, though. I disagree with that.
no, I don't think it is because the last few times that they've played in the last three meetings these teams have had, no one scored 30 points.
Yeah, that's fair, but I think it's
So
good
that's
football in
why I think
general.
that it's great football because you have two really talented teams playing against each other and two
Mhm.
of the best teams in the league playing against each other. But I think that this game ends, like a couple of years ago, maybe it ends 20 to 17 or 21-17, whatever that score is. I don't think it'll be necessarily very high scoring. And look, I could be wrong because we could end up seeing 45 to 42 in a matchup like this. But I don't think that either team has nearly high powered of an offense enough to put up that kind of points against each other, who they both have pretty good defenses. So I think that this will be less fun of a game to watch, at least for the first 3 hours, than the Ravens Steelers game. I think the last drive or the last three drives, whatever it is, will be incredible as always, because it'll be a close game. And any close game with Mahomes and Allen is going to be incredible at the end.
Mhm.
Um, I'm gonna take. I'm so torn on this one because this is. I think the wow. I think the Bills hand the Chiefs their first loss of the season. I'll take the Bills.
I'm gonna agree with you. I'm gonna take Buffalo as well.
Yes.
I think in the regular season recently, the Bills have had the Chiefs number in the regular season, and I think that continues. I think Josh Allen is poised to take advantage of not necessarily Well, it is a bit of a weakness, I feel like, in the Chiefs, where I don't think they have that great of a secondary right now. Since Jalen Watson's injury, they have been a lot more vulnerable. And I think that will be a matchup that Josh Allen will take advantage of. Outside of McDuffie, I mean, Shamari Connor is solid, but he's playing a little bit more safety now as well. I think the Bills take this one. I think the Bills do put up a lot of points on offense. I think Amari Cooper will be healthy, and I think that also does dictate who wins this game. But I think he will be healthy. I think he'll have his best game as a Bill. I trust the Bills defense. I trust McDermott to kind of slow down Mahomes in this match enough, especially with them being at Highmark Stadium. So I'm gonna go Buffalo here. I think in a close one. But now moving on, another really interesting matchup on Sunday night, a matchup that really kind of dictates dictates the playoff seeding. Dictates really honestly who will make the playoffs, I feel like at this point, particularly if the Chargers win. But we have the Cincinnati Bengals going to LA to play the Chargers. So
Are the Chargers playing against a good offense? For the first time this season, the
they played the
Chargers are playing
Chiefs.
against a
They
good
played the
offense.
Chiefs.
But this was
They
the
played
Chiefs. The Chiefs offense hasn't been that good this year.
Oh, come
Like
on.
realistically, they
Come
haven't been that good this year.
on. Come
It's not an
on. You're
offense.
just
It's
that's
it's not a high
they're
scoring offense. It's a
dude,
complimentary football
they're
team. But
still a top 10 offense in the league.
well, Denver are a top
Undoubtedly.
five offense in the league,
Also,
and
they also
not Denver,
played
Cincinnati.
they played Arizona, who are
Yeah,
also a top 10 offense in the league.
yeah, and they lost.
They played Pittsburgh, who are honestly borderline top 10 in the
And
league.
you're bringing up the three losses.
Okay, but we're talking about defense.
Okay. Well, now I'm gonna talk. I'm gonna just take it from you. I'm gonna talk about how the Los Angeles Chargers, although they are the best defense in the league, what
Hmm.
have they done in games that have mattered defensively? I'll tell you, they have not put up a good performance against a good team yet this season, and it's
They were
impressive,
good against the Chiefs.
and they lost, but it's impressive. It's impressive that they've been able to keep every team they've played under 20 points. And you know what, Kevin Minter, I salute you. I will give you
Jesse Minter.
Jesse Minter, my bad. I will give you the greatest of salutes from my chair in Amherst, Massachusetts, that you have led your defense to putting up really good performances against some scrubs. But now you're starting to play the big boys, and Joe Burrow is going to go out there. He's going to take this little rivalry with Justin Herbert that really isn't a rivalry because who's better? Let's be real. And he's going to
Tua.
tear he's going to tear your tiny little week 11 defense of the year to shreds. Los Angeles is not going to know what hit them. Cincinnati's going to win this game by 20, and those playoff dreams, they go up in smoke. Bye-bye, LA.
I think Jamar Chase is going to tear this defense apart, not Joe Burrow. Chase is coming off of like an inexplicably good week. It doesn't even make sense. It's the best week we'll see of anyone all season. And, it's the best single performance of his career. And he's going to ride the momentum. I'm not saying he's going to go 300 yards and 2 touchdowns again, but to have him not, to contain him to under 150 right now, job well done. Salute to you. So I think the Bengals win this because, yeah, the Chargers defense has been incredible, but I am in partial agreement. They have not exactly played and beat anyone particularly strong offensively. So I think the Bengals win this one. I do like what the Chargers are doing, but they're not there yet. They're close. They're getting there.
See, I'm actually gonna go with the Chargers here. I
Yes.
think. Oh, okay. Get off your high horse, buddy. Get off your high horse. I mean,
Yeah, I'm just celebrating you falling farther and farther down the standings now.
oh, okay, okay. We'll see. By the way, the Bengals are 4-6. Oh, they can have the flashy offense. They can have Joe Burrow MVP talks. They are a 4-6 football team, and I think they're gonna be a 4-7 football team. They're
So,
gonna
so here's the
lose.
thing, though. This is a team in Cincinnati that have lost to the best offenses in football.
I
They
agree,
lost to
100%.
Baltimore. They lost to Philadelphia. And KC, I know I just said that they weren't, but they are good. They are
Yeah.
a good offense. So I'll use it when it benefits me. But this is an LA team that I know they haven't given up a lot of points, but they haven't scored points. And you are out of your mind if you don't think that the Cincinnati Bengals are going to put up 20 points. You are absolutely out of your mind. This is a
I think
team
they will.
that has.
I think they
So
will.
you
I think
think
they will
LA
be.
is going to be able to put 20 points up? This LA
Oh, I
Chargers team.
forgot the well-renowned Cincinnati Bengals defense are going to slow them down. By the way,
I,
I don't think they're going to register barely any pressures against Rashawn Slater or Joe Alt, who have been maybe the best
Trey
tackles doing.
Hendrickson is not going to give any pressure. Trey
Oh, well,
Hendrickson's
I
one of
haven't
the
been
best
seeing it.
rushers in
I
the
have
league.
not been
He's
Trey
seeing
one of the
it
best
this
Hendrickson
edge
year.
rushers in the
tore
league.
Andrew Thomas apart.
One of
I
the
have
best edge rushers in the
I have
league.
not been seeing it this year. I think that
Have you
secondary is
watched the
very
Bengals?
vulnerable. And even the Chargers, I think Justin Herbert, even with that receiving core,
Oh, I
can
am
do a lot against you.
terrified of Quentin Johnson streaking
You
down the
should
field.
be. He's
Come
been good
on,
this year.
give me
He's
a
been better
break.
this year.
No,
I
he's
think
been
he,
better this year. But
well,
you're
I would be
seriously telling
scared.
me that if both of these teams are going to score a lot of points,
Not a lot of
that
points. I think
Cincinnati's
you
not going to
said
come
I
out on
said they
top?
would score 20. I said they would score 20, which is the
You
most
think?
they've given up all year. They will score 20 points. And I think the Chargers will score more than that. Because Justin Herbert right now, the past few weeks, has been playing elite football. He has. And I know you're a Herbert
No,
hater. You're going
no,
to
no,
be
no, no,
like,
no.
oh, he hasn't.
No, I'm going to give Justin Herbert the props for finally recognizing his role as a system quarterback. He's done a really good job at sitting in and being the
Bears,
system
Bears.
quarterback and playing really good football under the guise of he has to do what he's told. And I think that's the right spot for him. He's doing a good job at it. But Joe Burrow's not that guy. And as much as I respect the system quarterback, I think it's an important thing that you have to be able to do.
Well, yeah, you have one.
Yeah, and Tua's
Like,
the best version of that. But put
No.
that to the
Purdy.
side. Purdy's not really a system quarterback, I don't think. But put that to the side. I think that Joe Burrow is the fourth best quarterback in the league, maybe the third best quarterback in the league,
Yes, I agree.
and is just exponentially more impactful on the game than anyone on that Chargers offense. And I think he's going to have a good day.
Exponentially is doing a lot of work there. And I disagree with that. I think it is. And I think Jesse Minter, like I said, even though they're going to score 20 points, I think he's still going to win the battle. I think they are going to slow down this Bengals offense like they have to every single offense, which they have faced some decent offenses. This is the best one they're going to play. I 100% agree. And I think they're going to do a job. I think they're going to slow down that offense because it's not like it's an offense that does well every single week. I mean, Jamar Chase obviously had an incredible performance. What was it? 200. I don't know the exact. It was like
It was like
260
270.
something.
Yeah.
But he's not someone that shows up every single week. He's had weeks where he's been invisible. And I think this is going to be one of those weeks. I think Burrow's going to have a good game because he has had one like the past honestly since that
Since the
since
Giants
that
game.
since the Giants game. Yeah. I mean, he's going to be great, but I think they're going to slow him down in the red zone. I think the Chargers are going to they're going to play the bend but don't break rule, and I think they're going to win it that way. So I'm going to go with Los Angeles, which will basically, for me, clinch their spot in the playoffs in this week AFC. And I think Herbert wins the battle, and he proves that he is a top 5 quarterback in
But
the
the-
NFL.
Whoa,
Top five.
whoa.
Top
Okay,
Yeah.
five.
Take a step back
Excuse
because
you?
Herbert's not a top
Yes,
5 quarterback in the
yes,
NFL. And
yes,
also,
yes.
we just talked about this. The Chargers winning this game does not mean Herbert is winning the battle. Because if the Chargers defense is not going to let the Bengals score, it's the Chargers defense winning the battle, not Herbert.
Justin Herbert is not a better
Okay, but I think
quarterback than
Herbert's
Joe
also
Burrow.
going to show up as well. That's the point I'm going to make.
He'll do his
But
job.
do
He'll
you
play
think
good
that he's-
complementary football.
I mean,
That's what he's been doing all year.
who is the 5th best quarterback in the NFL? CJ Stroud?
CJ Stroud is my answer right now.
Oh, wait, actually, I did forget about Stroud. I will say Stroud's better. Right now. It's close, but Stroud is better.
But Jalen
Goff?
Hurts is also better right now.
Oh,
I would
no,
say- I would say Tua is
no,
better right now.
No,
The-
stop.
Purdy?
Stop. You're telling me you'd rather have Brock Purdy than Justin
Jaden
Herbert.
Daniels?
Jaden Daniels, yeah.
Okay, you guys, let's end the video right
Cooper
here. No,
Rush?
what? How? Okay. I'm only gonna take. I'm gonna take. I know Dylan says Tua seriously. I'm not even entertaining that one. We
Jared
moved
Goff.
past that. Oh yeah, Mister 5 picks and interception.
Yeah.
5 interceptions in a game.
Yeah, Mr. 5 interceptions in the game that has led his
Yeah.
team to 8-1 or
Oh yeah, totally. But when it's Herbert who's led his team to 6-3, it's like, oh, but it's the
No, I'm
team,
saying no,
the
he's
bad
doing a good job. No,
opponents.
he's
Yeah,
doing
no.
a really good job. I appreciate the football that Justin Herbert's playing, and I'm happy that he's not trying to disguise himself as something that he's not anymore. And I appreciate that out of him.
Okay, yeah. All right.
Kyler Murray's
Sure.
better.
Moving on now to our Monday night game. We have the Houston Texans going to Dallas. And in a week that we have a lot of great football games,
Houston.
it's a shame that Monday night is so drab. So Yeah, Houston. I'm just gonna say it pretty comfortably. I mean, Cooper Rush is not doing anything against, I think, a very good defense.
Yeah, the defense has been
Houston,
great.
the defense has been great. I think Will Anderson, they're gonna get him back too after a 1 week absence.
Nico
They'll
Collins is
dominate.
back.
Nico Collins will probably be back. Huge. Yeah, Texans win this one. I said
Yeah, it's an
huge
easy
like the
Texans
future
win
president
because
too. It's a
it's a very
huge win. Sorry, I know that was bad, but I had to do
It's
it.
gonna be one of the best wins.
nope.
The Houston Texans in
The Texans are going to win
the
this
great
game,
state
We
of
get a
and
Texas.
huge
this
win.
is
It's a
ridiculous, guys. I,
huge win, and all the credit goes for the Houston Texans to Dalton Schultz.
Yeah. Well, that wraps up the video. Again, if you enjoyed that kind of content, make sure to like and subscribe. If you
Nobody
just
enjoyed you
enjoy,
guys talking like Donald Trump.
oh, I beg to differ. That's going to be a clip in the next Instagram reel, so make sure to check
It
that
better
out.
be. It's got to be the Green Bay one though, not this
Uh,
one. The Green Bay
yeah,
one
yeah,
was
yeah.
so much better.
But I think this was a great video, guys. I think it was very informative. This is the second time we had to do it, by the way, and Charlie left in the middle of a video. That is absolutely unprofessional. But anyway, we had to record this one twice, and I think we did a pretty good job, honestly. I mean, it was pretty demoralizing, but we push on for our viewers, our viewer. So if you guys enjoyed that content, make sure to like and subscribe. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Apple Music, because I said that last time. I don't know if we're on it, but I think we are. And we will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.